Hey everybody, it's Durgertime, and thank you for joining me once again for another episode of TEW 2016 Billy Corgan's NWA. And we're going to do a short one. We're only going to do one episode today, trying to get some stuff together and get ready for the release of TEW 2020 and the new series of NXT 2014. So, been a little bit light on the content lately. We'll kick it off hardcore once TEW 2020 comes out. But right now I only have time for one episode of Power, which is fine. No big deal. I added a few people to our contract. I know. I just wanted to add Matt Cross and Ricky Ruffin. I need some faces in this company, and I thought they'd be relatively cheap and would be a good balance to the mid-card. Matt Cross, we're going to get at a pretty good price. Ricky, we're going to get an almost non-existent price. He has a lot of popularity in Southwest, not a lot in Southeast, but he has some lineage as the Last Temptation and was, I think, NWA like Northwest champion at one point. So for a babyface, he's got great babyface characteristics, so he will do well for us, and we got him for a great price. And I think for the lower card, having him as a face will work well for us. Other than that, though, we got some major morale issues. Sasha is, let's say, upset after that last show. That's problems. A lot of morale issues, actually. It's going to be what it is. I would not be shocked if she walks before this next show. So we might have to put someone else over quickly. Let's go ahead and let's advance over to Power. All right, we got stopped for some negotiations. Let's see what it is. Pay raise request. Oh, Jesus. I'll do 75 just to not get you upset. Yeah, okay, we're fine. Let's keep on going. Got our contracts. Let's throw them in there. Both going to be faces. My guess is probably mid-card or upper mid-card for Matt Cross. Yeah, mid-card. It's going to be weird playing 2020 now and not having mid-cards. Every time I jump back into that game, it weirds me out that I don't have to do this. On one hand, it's great, and on one hand, it's weird to me. Ricky Ruffin. Oh man, we got too many Rickies. We're gonna have to change his name. So he doesn't have an alias. We'll look at it. Probably enhancement talent. We're gonna make him an opener. Actually, let's go straight to lower mid card. Old school face is fine. I don't expect much in terms of performance from him, but we can get there. But he might have an established base in Southwest, so if we ever do shows there, it'll be nice to have him along for the ride. And it gives us a wrestler that is a face, that has a strong face appearance that will do well for us in the lower card, because we are kind of lacking on faces in general. I mean, we got one and two in tag team, 3, 4. So it's helpful to have some of them, and we're about to lose some people. So decent replacements just to kind of knock it out. All right, keep on going. Okay, Mass Eagles now return to the company, which is good. Anything? Brian Saxton? We could steal Brian Saxton. Actually, no. No. That would be something though. Nothing crazy going on in the world that we have to at least worry about. Our alliance titles still have not changed. I'm kind of shocked that no one has even challenged for these. I almost wonder if we want to retire the tag titles, because at this point, no one's doing anything with either of these, which is kind of odd. I mean, we have plenty of titles as it is. I kind of wanted to use it as a way to get people, get people around and around the alliance and give them some experience. But we already have the North American, we have a tag, we have a women's, we have a heavyweight. North American essentially is our television title. I do like having an alliance title though, but I may actually get rid of the heritage tag. I feel like the fact that no one is using it is weird. But you'd think someone in this group would jump at the opportunity. All right, we got a power to run. We're still working towards building up to Mid-Atlantic Mayhem, which will be our first show in the Mid-Atlantic region, and should be kind of interesting. I'm thinking of actually running the next couple powers out of there. I'm going to see what attendance we would get, because that's really the only revenue we're getting, because that's my kind of concern at this point, is that we are going to be going into lesser revenue streams because of that crappy YouTube deal. But we'll take a look at it. Oh, that rating is bad. Oh, boy. All right. Jericho is wrestling courting people still, which is nice of him. Judge found him guilty after moaning about stuff all the time and bumming everyone out. Thank you, Chris Jericho. Even not actively wrestling is still hanging out in the NWA locker room. We will medal. And sure. Here. Wow, medals work and has a strong friendship. That's probably a mistake, because Eddie Kingston can be problematic sometimes, but right now he's been pretty good for us. Pillman and Josephus still don't like each other, which is some problems. And Madison Eagles and Ashley Vox still have simmering tension between them. Other than that, though, we are still... Overall, things are fine. Might have to be worried about the Tessa Blanchard and Sasha Banks friendship. Could go sour on us. All right, so I want to see... We were expecting 2,000 people in Southeast. If I were to go to Mid-Atlantic... But we did have a power here at one point. It's not horrible. I'm willing to do it. It's important to us. It's not the biggest area for us, obviously, because actually, in some general importance, is still pretty much the same. So probably not a bad idea just to run it in there. Can we pick the best venue? Generic will be fine. So we'll get to 19. It's not that much of a dip. It's only 100 people less. The money's not going to be horrendous. But it gives us a little bit of momentum in the region, which I think will be important. Maybe we're going to be in a different studio or something like that. That's fine. All right, let's go ahead and book. We still have some new storylines that we've been building up. A lot of these are basically the same, right? But we kind of just reconfigured them. The biggest news storyline is probably the Eddie Kingston, Eli Drake story, and obviously Devon Eric's going directly for the gold is a little bit different. Sasha Banks' storyline's about to wrap up. Obviously, Tessa Blanchard's got to have her own kind of thing going on, but she has the championship right now, so her taking on Sasha Banks isn't that big of a deal because she already did it, and it's not really much of a point. And the board of directors storyline is kind of building between Pillman Jr., Nick Aldis, and kind of that storyline about the Carl's Jr.'s championship. Someone in the comments said, the most interesting storyline right now. I kind of agree. We'll see where it goes. We might need to get someone hired for a Carl's Jr. representative to represent this issue. It might be a Carl's Jr. sponsorship on the pole match incoming. We'll have to see. I feel like we need one more story too. Well, might have to come up with something, but that might be until after Mid-Atlantic Mayhem. All right, let's book it. Let's see what we got. All right, guys, we got a clean 60. Let's go ahead and take a look at the show. Not as many storylines as I would like to have progressed, but I think we're setting up some stuff that could be kind of interesting. So we start off the show with debuting Ricky Ruffin and Caleb Conley. It's low on the card, so it should be fine. I want to see how these guys do, if there's anything that's clicking. I want to see where they show up in terms of in-ring performance, and I wanted to give Wheeler a win because I think he's probably a face prospect, and I think this will be a good opportunity for him. So it's unfortunately a terrible match. Cade and Yuta defeat Ricky Ruffin and Caleb Conley in 4 minutes. Wheeler gets the win on Ricky by submission. Definitely Ricky was the weak link, 17. We'll see what he does as he gets some popularity. But he only gets an average for his old school face gimmick. Kind of a shame. But could be a good, decent enhancement talent for us for the time being. This is not great. But we give Wheeler a win, which is sort of our goal. Eventually we'll break him out of the tag team and kind of make him a lower mid-card face challenger for something. We bring Marty Bell back into the scene after a disastrous managerial role for Billy Corgan, for Brian Pillman. Did not work very well, so we feed her to Tessa Blanchard. Unfortunately, this match is not great, has terrible wrestling and not much heat. Tessa Blanchard defeats Marty Bell in 3 minutes. This is a quick squash match with a pile driver. Not much to say about this. Actually loses heat for the Sasha Banks storyline because Tessa was kind of involved. It's not great. And, probably should just let Marty Bell go at some point. I gotta find a role for her that will work. A little bit better, we have a storyline build. The board storyline is now called This Storyline Brought to You By, just to kind of give a little more flavor. But we have Paul Pinky George with Nick Aldis by his side doing a kind of, not an interview, but sort of a promo near the stands. And he calls out Brian Pillman after the last incident that happened last week. Pinky's furious about the whole thing, about losing the contract. He says, it's little pipsqueaks like you, Pillman, that ruin everything. We had a major marketing deal in a company that bleeds money. Why would you do this? But again, you just don't know your role. You think that any of this means anything? You're out here talking about legacy of your father. Where do you think this company came from? When my father's father made this company, it wasn't about integrity or respect or legacy. All that bullshit is what you wanted to be about. You know what it was about? Carny business. It was about wiping white chalk on people's backs and leeching them for all that they're worth. Well, we're going back to that. We're going to make this profitable, and I'm going to rectify this problem. So I'm still in charge, and tonight your title will be on the line with a challenger of my choosing. And he brings out Scott Steiner, who seemingly is kind of aligned now with the board of directors. There's Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. Watch your back, because the board will be watching it. We advanced the storyline with it, got the crowd hotter. So we have Scott Steiner facing Brian Pillman Jr. for the no longer Carl's Jr. title. And seemingly aligned with the board. It doesn't seem like it's an official stable capacity, but it seems like, he's kind of murking for them a little bit. And Paul Pinky George is going to continue to try to wrest control of that belt from him. We have a women's tag team match. It's not great. Madison Eagle defeat Thunder Rosa, or Madison Eagle and Thunder Rosa defeat Kimberly and Skylar in 6 minutes. Madison Eagle defeats Skylar by pinfall after using a foreign object. Kind of giving Madison a little bit of a re-debut after being injured. Skylar's performance isn't bad, but definitely is the weak link of the bunch. It seemed a little bit off her game, apparently. We advance to who can take on Sasha Banks storyline with this. I thought I had a distraction here. Yeah, Kimberly should be distracted by Sasha Banks as the finish. I don't know. I guess I didn't actually add that in right. But sort of as a payback for what happened last week, Sasha ends up distracting Kimberly. Leads to a brawl all the way to the backstage between Sasha and Kimberly. Kind of building up again their sort of storyline a little bit. Trying to give more legitimacy to Kimberly as our kind of top babyface. We have Eddie Kingston next in a debut match against Matt Cross. Matt Cross debuts pretty well. Gets an average for straight edge, which is fine. And has an in-ring performance of 38. The match is decent wrestling, but did not have much heat, obviously. Matt Cross actually defeats Eddie Kingston in 6 minutes by disqualification. During the whole match, there was a whole kit and caboodle. Eli Drake comes in, distracts Kingston. Everything gets messy, and the match ends up getting disqualified. Basically forcing the win for Matt Cross by convincing the ref that Eddie Kingston was doing nefarious things. And Eli Drake just trying to kind of ruin Eddie's singles run, basically. So we kind of build up that kind of dynamic between the two of them as Eddie Kingston and Eli Drake start to kind of build to a feud. Afterwards, we have a video package from Billy Corgan. It does not do great because this dude apparently can sing but can't work a mic to save his life. We see Billy Corgan on a video package. Paul Pinky George is seen running around outside of the video trying to wave to shut it down, but the operators ignore him. If you remember, Billy Corgan lost majority control of the NWA last season and really hasn't been seen much since then. He came back a little bit and then kind of bounced away again. And this video shows a little bit of what he's doing. We see a video package showing Corgan outside of a foreign cafe. It's unsure where it is, but it's definitely not in America. He's drinking, a cup of tea. He's talking to the camera, and he says, some people say that weasel, Paul Pinky George, stole majority control away from me, and that I just left the company in silence. It's simply not the case. I have been working hard behind the scenes, trying to find a way to reclaim this company and bring it back to glory. To make it represent what it should be about: legacy, respect, wrestling. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I'm currently out scouting to find the right weapon in this war. In the meantime, I've been watching, and I need to fix this mess with what little power I still have. That's why I'm using my minority control to issue a Battle Royal challenge. Next week, 15 competitors will get a chance to challenge Chris Jericho at Mid-Atlantic Mayhem. Good luck, may the best man win. We actually lose heat for one of our storylines. Billy Corgan just can't seem to work that mic, which is unfortunate. So I was hoping that Paul Pinky George's entertainment rating would boost it a little bit, but just didn't. But storyline-wise, we have sort of this mysterious thing of what exactly is Pillman I just keep on saying Pillman. What exactly is Billy Corgan doing behind the stage? He seems to be scouting for somebody, maybe a new hire to come in aligned with him to try to wrest control. So I'll be curious to hear what you think he might be scouting for. Clearly a foreign agent of some sort. He might be in Europe. He might be in Japan. He seemingly is looking for somebody to hire to bring into the NWA to try to take on Paul Pinky George's board of directors. And we have our main event, Brian Pillman Jr. versus Scott Steiner. It had good heat and decent wrestling. Scott Steiner actually defeats Brian Pillman by submission after interference from Nick Aldis, and Scott Steiner wins the NWA North American title. Steiner kind of was blown out by the end and definitely had a weaker in-ring performance. We get the belt off of Pillman. Honestly, seems weird, but it's really to get the belt off of him to move him up to the main card. So, that is a mid-card title. So we let him lose it here. It makes sense. We protect him within the loss, and we get to have him move up to the main event. So now he can freely challenge Chris Jericho, possibly win that Battle Royal. We don't have the baggage of another title. We could have made him a double champion, but it just really doesn't make sense at this point. And now we have a storyline of Scott Steiner having the North American title. What will he do with it? Where will we go with it? So I think overall it's a good direction. I'm actually kind of excited about this because I have some stupid stuff for Scott Steiner to do. So should be pretty interesting. Afterwards, we just have Scott Steiner celebrating his win in front of a shocked Brian Pillman Jr. and ending the show with probably a weaker performance than I was hoping for. Yeah, D plus, it's fine, but it's definitely weaker. We had some weaker elements of the card, but I kind of wanted to play around and see what we could do with some of the newer people. Matt Cross definitely is going to be a good addition to the show, but our new jobber wasn't performing as well as I would like, and I think Marty Bell at this point just needs to go, unfortunately, unless we make her a valet for somebody. That would make a lot of sense. We'll have to see. NWA power rating 0.21 is not bad. Scott Steiner does not like Wheeler. That's fine. So we got some storyline build here. Kind of want to hear from you guys in the comments. Who do you think Billy Corgan should be scouting for to add to the NWA? So it's going to be someone that is probably abroad, right? Doesn't have to be a foreigner. Could be someone that works primarily in the East somewhere, maybe Japan, maybe Europe, right? I'd be kind of curious. I have a few ideas of who I am scouting for, but I'm going to keep them secret. But I'd be interested in hearing who you think should come in aligned with Billy Corgan to try to take control back. Anyways, that's it for me. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, like the video. It does help a lot. And expect a lot more content coming up with TEW 2020's release on Friday. I will be running a debut of NXT 2014. We're still going to be running this game in 2016 for the time being, but as you know, we will be transitioning it over to 2020 once a decent mod comes out that I feel like I can transfer it to. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to continuing the NWA on the channel. In the meantime, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.